As far as HIV is concerned, we can disagree on the approaches, but we have to go to work together to find solution to HIV and AIDS.
Church, we talk about prayer, and prayer is not enough for the young girls. Young girls, they have basic needs, as anyone else have their own basic needs. So if these basic needs are not met, they'll look them from somewhere else.
This order of not telling the truth to these young people is leading them out to search which they think is the truth, when some of it is not the truth.
Sexual diversity from a Jamaican. Yes. The concept, the space for the discussion of the concept remains a struggle.
Amen, 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 amen,
Young girls, they have basic needs, as anyone else have their own basic needs. So if these basic needs are not met, they'll look them from somewhere else. So as a church, we have to help them maybe with scholarship, if it's schools, if it's out of school, with opportunities of skills, either in tailoring or other hand things that they do. We also have to help them in the mind shifting of thinking that I am worth it. I'm a girl, I'm worth it to be a girl. And in the mind shifting that they can be someone else without the need of a sponsor or a partner or a blesser. We also need to help men, their mind, shifting their mind to either raise a girl or to appreciate who a girl child is, not to exploit them and to make them vulnerable. So one of the things is growing up at home, mothers or whoever is raising this child should always affirm the girl child and don't make the differentiation when raising a boy child and a girl child. That's one area. The other thing also, when you are at school, and they should be the same, that you are all worth it, and then you can raise the girl's child self-esteem. And also you, as a girl, as the girls themselves, they should also help each other to appreciate each other, not to compete each other.
As we parents, first of all, create safe spaces for these young people to disclose freely on issues related to SKBV and, of course, HIV/AIDS. If these young people are free with us, the parents, they will ask questions, they will know how to go about challenges, and we will also know what is happening within their spaces outside there. Then secondly, we need to give them the accurate information. This order of not telling the truth to these young people is leading them out to search which they think is the truth when some of it is not the truth. Then thirdly, we need to refer to trained personnel people like counselors, maybe within the church or even outside the church. These ones will help our young people freely. These young people will be free to ask questions they cannot ask with the mothers or the fathers. So at the end of the day, we shall all be on the right track of the fight against HIV/AIDS and, of course, gender-based violence. Yeah, we need to give the parents the updated information, because you may find that some families, the young people are even far beyond us, the parents. So I would encourage the parents to also engage in workshops, seminars, for example, those under the church. There are some good trainings under the church. We in Mothers Union, we do a lot of training on stigma issues, discrimination, empowering others, the safe practices. So it is safe, even the parents to have the proper knowledge to give this to these young people.
Interesting question it is indeed, because the church is not yet at that place to support the creation of those spaces. Although the church owns all the assets, all the properties that can give you the physical space, all the meeting areas, the concept, the space for the discussion of the concept remains a struggle. The church knows that the conversation is necessary, and those who belong to sexual diverse communities also know that the conversation is necessary. Can the church create safe spaces? Absolutely. How else then could the church remain true to the gospel? And if it is that we believe Jesus came to save all of us, and that death on the cross has promised life in fullness for all of us, then there must be a space for all of us. So can the church create it? Yes, but are we there yet? No, we're not. It remains a struggle for us. We're in conversation about changing the laws, and that's one thing. But the most important thing, I believe, is how we address attitudes and behaviors. So the church needs to first of all sit down and have that conversation with itself. Do we really want this? Is this something that we're supporting? On what basis are we accepting sexual diverse behaviors and communities? So the church needs to have that conversation with itself. Sexual diverse communities need to have that conversation with themselves to say, do we really want to be in church? Do we feel like we belong? Is this something that we're pursuing? So the how begins with the conversations to address the knowledge, the attitudes, the behaviors, and the interpretation of scriptures. Every single ministry leader should initiate that in their local spaces. It must be initiated someplace. I know that the Jamaica Council of Churches is ready, is poised, and has already begun the conversation among our heads of churches. But the conversation has only just begun. We're just eking out where people are, how people feel about sexual diverse communities. And that gives quite a rumble in the room. But we're open for the conversation. We're comfortable with ourselves having the conversation there. We are aware that outside of the meeting of heads of churches at that level, there will be some challenges. So we also have to strategize for those. But the conversation has begun.
I think first of all, we need to have a common understanding on the whole issue of cure and healing. So we need to come together and to have a common understanding of this aspect of healing regarding HIV and AIDS, especially today among adolescents and our communities. I think one of the most important achievements is the fact that churches open the door for those who are activists in HIV areas to work with the theological institutions. And today it is easy for us to talk about HIV and on sexualities in our theological institutions. And also now we are starting working in our schools. This is one of the main achievements. I think the issue of sexual identity has been discussed in our theological institutions. And today, the whole issue of key populations regarding HIV and AIDS infection in Africa is not a curse. We have space to reflect on it, especially with some of our church leaders and also in our theological institution. This is one of the most achievements, if I can take the example of Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and even Kenya. In this journey, as far as key population are concerned, I'm talking about also about LGBTIQ, I'm talking about people in prison, I'm talking about sexual health, sexual workers, and these people or this community, we need to work with them because the majority of them are members of my church. So I have to take care of their problems. And as far as human problems are concerned, as far as HIV is concerned, we can disagree on the approaches, but we have to go to work together to find solution to HIV and AIDS.
Sex, baby, let's talk about you and me. Let's